Happy Valentine's Day. Oh my gosh. Oh, what was that voice too? Ooh, guys, I don't know about you, but I see so many people still stressing about content, more stressing about content than it actually spending the same time in creating content. And what I mean by this is that we see I see so many people struggle with this idea of like what content needs to be, right? This idea of what content should be. You're told to post every day. You're told to post multiple times a day. And if you're around, you know, like that's not going to make or break you, right? But this idea that we are seeing updates all the time now to different things on Instagram. When the TikTok ban came into, right? All these different updates coming in, and then all of the gurus jumping on and say like, hashtags are dead. Yes, we know Montessori. I don't know how to say his name. I always say Montessori. Montessori said, yeah, hashtags aren't working the way that they used to, right? But we've been hearing that conversation for years. And then the jump on every trend and, if you want to put the social back, put the social back in social media, you need to engage to get engagement, right? And all of these different pieces of what you're supposed to do, what you know works, right? As an online service provider, what you know works and what's worked for you in the past, but also juggling all of the different guru advice from the platform itself, right? And then these ideas that you will be rewarded for using new feature. You will be rewarded for doing this. You will be engaged with for doing this, like this. You got to give engagement to get engagement, right? And all of these different pieces that it is not as simple as show up, speak to your audience, post, move on, right? And I find that a lot of people aren't stressed about what to post and the time it takes to create it, but all of the things that go into creating the content, right? And so what I find is a lot of online service providers, they spend more time planning the content. I'm covering my mic, I already know it. Planning what to post, right? They're going to spend that once a month. Okay, we are making the marketing plan for the next month. I'm going to plan this out. I'm going to have 2 batching days. I'm going to have exactly 10 days of doing this. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to share tips. On Wednesdays, I'm going to share education. I'm going to share client win every single Friday, right? And it becomes this big plan. And then when it comes to those batch days, you go and do it, and it's like, it doesn't feel connected to your audience, right? So now you spent that whole day planning, right? You've spent that first batching session creating content that doesn't feel aligned, and then checking all the boxes of, okay, do I have a first hook? Do I have a secondary hook? Do I have a visual hook? Oh wait, is this sound even trending anymore? I made this last week, and now the sound's not even trending anymore. Everyone's saying they're sick of it. Should I even hop on it? And all of these different pieces, all of the stressful parts about creating content, I find, are not from the actual content. And what I find, and when I work with clients, is that it's this fear of it's not going to perform, right? This fear of what, oh my God, I cannot keep this straight today. What's going to perform, what's going to get the engagement that they're looking for, because we've been told good content is content that gets the metrics, right? And it's exhausting because you'll create a piece of content that you're like, this hits. This is exactly what my audience needs to hear. My audience is literally telling me this in the DMs. I've spoken to my own clients. This is where they are struggling. This is exactly how I help. And you post that. And it's crickets. And it's so exhausting because we've lost that, what's the word? Instant gratification, right? And this is what keeps us stuck. And I find that a lot of people think that in order to make the shifts that you need to make inside of your content are going to require a complete overhaul. And that's where it's not true. Because yes, especially social media managers, you know this, right? We tell our clients it's going to be 3 months to see results. We say it's 8 to 12 weeks minimum contracts, right? Because implementing a new social media strategy, it takes time to see consistent results and to see that the strategy is working. And it becomes this idea that the shift you make today in your content cannot impact it unless you do it for the next 90 days. And that's actually false. It's very false. Yes, I agree that for social media managers, you should be having a 90-day, like minimum 3-month contract minimum. That for most contracts for those situations, you should be having these 3-month minimums, 8 to 12 weeks minimum, right? Where it is the cap track minimum, because yes, putting in place a new strategy, a fully new strategy, is going to take time to see results. But there are going to be simple shifts that you could make today in your next post that will get you results. And it's not going to be the results you think. So what I mean by that, right? So you kind of start shifting how you speak and you shift or pivot your messaging, right? You start kind of removing that I do this, and you start to move into this like, you want XYZ, right, to your dreamy client, speaking to your dreamy client, speaking to what they've already tried, and doing these shifts. You're going to see a couple things happen, right? One of the first things I see a lot of people say is that they see a decrease in their metrics, but they also see more people DMing them. They see more of the people, more profile views. They see more of the things that aren't that aesthetic metric, if that makes sense. They start to see that increase in people going back and binging other of their content. They start to see this increase of profile views, external link taps, DM conversations that aren't surface level of like, oh my God, you so get me, right? And that's one of the first shifts. When you start to see that shift, right? It's like, okay, I'm getting less engagement sometimes when I'm like speaking directly to the streaming person, but it's getting you further in the lead and in the nurture sequence, right? And with that, those are shifts that you can make in your next piece of content. And that's why I'm like so excited. So I'm hosting a free content challenge. And why I'm excited about it is it's not just use this hook, use this audio. That's not a repeatable thing, right? If I was like, okay, here's the 5-day content challenge. Every single day you're going to get a trending audio. This is exactly how to use it. Go forth and prosper, right? It's going to be this thing where it has a ticking time on it. It has a expiration date. And yes, you can use the hook. You can use the idea a different way, but it's going to be over. And it becomes something that's hard to repeat. It's hard to stay consistent at doing that thing. And this is where my content challenges come in, is that I've shifted. I've done 7 content challenges in the last 2 years. And what I've done each time is shifted to help you use these outside of the challenge, right? And showing you it's not just use this specific hook and this time bomb content that, again, keeps you in the same place you are today. But how can we make simple shifts in our content? How can we make simple shifts in our content that allows us to grow in each next piece of content, right? So looking at past content, right? So looking at, oh my goodness, what do I mean? Like, so looking at like a past piece of content you've done, right? And how can you shift even just like one piece of it so that when the next time you post, because again, we're talking about the same things all the time in our content, right? That repetitiveness, to really hone in on our messaging. But the next time you post that, how can we make one shift to truly attract that dreamy client, right? So inside the 5-day challenge, there are 5 days and we kick off Monday, but it's 5 days and it's 5 different shifts to make. And it's not just use this prompt, but it's 5 shifts and a prompt to show you how to elevate your current content, because that is the big piece, is how can you use what you are learning inside this challenge to continue to create? Because I will tell you this, 7 times running one of these content challenges, every single time I have women reach out to me and say, I didn't expect it to be this quick. I didn't expect to be able to like fully fledge a piece of content in 5 to 10 minutes and be posted. Like, I was nervous that I was gonna have to set aside like an hour or 2 in the morning to show up and lean into the content time I had, right? Or they were concerned that, okay, I'm going to go off of my strategy for a couple days. Like, what's this going to do? Even if they weren't showing up consistently before, of this, what's going to happen after. And time again, in just 5 days, they are seeing that they can get a fully fledged piece of content out in 10 minutes. They are seeing that, you know what? I can get engagement on content that actually speaks to my dreamy client. They are seeing these shifts you can make without it being like 3 tips or 3 reasons to hire a VA, 3 reasons to hire a SMM. These are 3 tips to do X, right? Getting away from this educational content that has taken a long time to get through because now everyone's sharing it, right? So how do we take that? How do we take this educational content and make impact? How do we take this connection content and actually make it connect to our dreamy clients so that they actually care? How do we take content that showcases our services, our client case studies, our social proof? How do we take that content and make sure that our dreamy client knows that this is specifically for them? How we specifically understand what they have gone through, what they are currently struggling with, what they've already tried, that when they read that piece of content, they know, oh shit, that's for me, right? So 5-day content challenge. We kick off on Monday. I've already got, oh my goodness, almost, let me look. I think we've got almost 20 women. We're at like 19 or 20 women inside of the challenge. And again, these are my favorite because it's just a fun way to get connected with your content again without overthinking. It gives you a chance to kind of take a breath from content, but also see how simple content really can be without the 8-hour batching session. So hope to see you inside the challenge, and happy Valentine's Day.